Hello and welcome to Decorate It. My name is Mary and this is Wes, and tonight is episode 44. Tonight I wanted to talk about the Mastering Rod Building Seminar classes event.
Mastering Rod Building Seminars?
That was the end of it. Mastering Rod Building Seminars.
Trying to add more words than it's got.
Trying to make it longer than it already is. But we were there this past weekend, and we like to go over these events because you might get really excited about trying to get to one next time. Might get excited. You should get excited, but it might help you make up your mind whether or not you want to put it on the bucket list, because there are quite a few events that happen throughout the year. We don't go to all of them, but the ones that we do go to, it's nice to kind of have a recap. Our weekend started on Thursday when we left, which never again, because we were going to drop the dogs off same day that we dropped the kids off at school and then head down, and that's not going to happen ever again.
Ill-advised.
We're going to take the dogs the night before, and that way it's off of the to-do list, because the kids, I mean, we dropped them off by 7:45 anyway, so we can easily get out a lot earlier.
But then the dogs put us going at 11.
We left about 10 or 10:30. But we left at 10 or 10:30, but we had to get gas, and then we had to get some other stuff before we could actually leave, and that put us in Atlanta traffic the wrong time of the day. But I swear there's not a right time to go through there unless it's like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I haven't been through there at that point.
Even when we were coming back, it was a Sunday night at 9 o'clock coming through Atlanta. And it was still dead stop traffic.
Without traffic.
For an hour.
Yeah. Without traffic, it's supposed to take us 8.5 hours to get there. Obviously, that's nonstop. With traffic, it usually bumps it to 9.5. And then, obviously, we have to stop for food, gas, all restrooms, all that stuff.
But Sunday night took us 11 hours.
Yeah, it's pretty bad going back Sunday. We left at 2 o'clock from Orange Beach and didn't get home until well after. It was about 1 o'clock.
Yep.
1 o'clock in the morning, and we just kept getting rerouted, because I was like, I'm not sitting in traffic. Take me through the dirt roads. Get us out of here. We drove down Thursday. We got there about, 6 or 7. We went to a restaurant because that was kind of like the off night. We got there and got to relax and basically sleep, but I didn't. Wes passed out, and I couldn't go to sleep because I felt like I needed to be working on something, but I couldn't because it was in the hotel room, and it was like...
Yeah, I was passed out by like 9:30.
You went, 9:30, 10 o'clock, and I stayed up. I started watching TV for once in my life and got caught up on some movie that was on with a lot of commercial breaks, but I think it was like 12:30 or 1 when I finally went to sleep. But it was so quiet in that room. We could hear the breathing of people next door, and it was like... But we get there Friday morning, and our event place had changed. So normally it's been at the Party Barn that Donnie and them have, but this year we couldn't go there because of some medical dramas that was happening in the family, and we were at the Spring Hill Suites. So we're in a hotel with all these rod building vendors and the attendees coming in, and we basically had the whole backside of the hotel. We had 2 classroom, basically meeting rooms, and then the big area. And it worked out. Like, I mean, it was odd to begin with because, you got your separation of these vendors over here and there's these vendors in this classroom, and then everything's happening here. But it actually worked pretty nicely. Yeah. But we were it was me, HM, Threads, Reggie from All Around Fishing, and Rod Forge was that was our little crew in our room. And Reggie and me took up the most room. Because we had brought the Bass rods with us for the golf event or the charity golf event that Muddle's having this coming weekend.
Those.
The ones that I'm still working on. But I took them down there to work on while I was there because I needed stuff to do. I always am doing demos anyway, so I might as well just be finishing rods. And that worked out kind of nice. So we had the 2 6-foot table sections. And then I can't remember everybody that was in the other room. I know that Back Creek was over there, and Red Wolf. Is it Red Wolf Laser? Is that what she called it? Laserworks?
Red Wolf Laserworks.
And then Josie's Gift was over there.
NFC, JYG, and Justina.
And Justina came in. And then in the hallway was Don Schaefer, across from the coffee and the food, which I was like, man, I want that placement next year. Yes, everybody's always right there.
That and the coffee's like right there.
Yeah, it was like, boop. They kept it filled all day long, too. It was nice to not have to be like it was at the expo, not having a coffee pot.
Yeah.
Which I remember to bring the coffee pot and the filters this time.
Didn't need them.
Didn't need them, but I did bring. Actually, we didn't need them at the place that we were staying.
No,
they had a coffee. They had a coffee pot. Never mind. They didn't have it at the first place. That was that. So Don Schaefer from Backbone was out in the hallway, and then Casey, Fuji was right there. Casey was over here, and HFF was there
with Mudhole and Batson in the big room.
The seminar room, basically, which is the big area. It had the TV set up and a bunch of tables, and so Mudhole's on this side and Batson's over here. We got to meet Keller this year. Got to see some. He's got. We were outside talking with everybody, and I was like staring at Keller's arm because he's got this big, massive tattoo on it. I was trying to figure out what it was, and he's like, I was like, sorry, I was just looking at your tattoo, and he starts to strip, and I'm like, what the hell? Like, I didn't need to see all of it, but it made sense because he took it off to his shoulder, and it was what was the fish that he mixed? I can't remember. What was it? I don't remember. That's why I'm asking you.
Ling cod.
I wouldn't have guessed that. Ling cod, but it was in the Japanese style of the koi fish.
Yes.
But yeah, that was funny because he just started like just completely unbuttoning it.
Yeah, like unbuttoning it.
And I'm like, what are you doing? I don't need to see it. But then I was like, oh yeah, that makes more sense. So, and then we got to start talking about tattoos. Well, Friday was vendor setup day, and then 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock, sometime between 1 and 2, because we got there in the morning, we got our stuff set up, and I went straight to work. Like I was just. So when people started to filter in, I'm like, have we started yet? And everybody's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, hi guys. You know. But everybody's coming in, and Friday is the day that they're supposed to have time to like shop from the vendors or ask questions or whatever the case may be. And then that afternoon, it was the vendors' dinner. Yeah. And then Saturday is when all the fun starts. Saturday morning, we get there. We hadn't done epoxy yet, right?
No, we did epoxy Friday before we left.
Did I do marbling? Was it marbling that I did?
You did marbling Saturday.
That's right. Yeah, so we got the guide trains wrapped for the 2 black ones because we only had 2 extenders. Really wish I had bought another one so I could have done 3 at a time. But we bought the 3 rod dryer to put on our table too.
Which, Mo, if you're watching, we need to place an order.
We always need more stuff. But we got the guide trains wrapped, which they were joking with me because I wrapped more guides in 2 days than I have in the past, 6 months.
A year.
It's not been a year. Would you stop? Well, I guess technically this year, yes. But got all the guides wrapped for the 3 black ones, the 3 EVAs. They all got wrapped. And then Wes put epoxy on for me for the guides and then left those turning in the dryers every night. And they locked those 2 side rooms up, but we had to clear out the hallway every night. When you get in there Saturday, nothing fell out the dryer. Awesome. Thankfully. And then the day basically starts they have breakfast, which we had donuts and what were those sausage croissant things called?
Pigs in a blanket.
Yeah, that's what everybody was calling them, but that wasn't their actual name. But it was like sausages inside of basically like a croissant or like a sweet kind of bread. They were really good. Really good. And everybody was after that Sunday and they weren't there. But we had about an hour for breakfast. We ate. I went straight to work. But as I'm working, there's a bunch of people coming in asking questions. I'm stopping. I'm doing this. And my first seminar Saturday was 11 o'clock. And it was on marbling. And I wasn't prepared for how much prep, get my stuff set up to go in there,
Right.
Because I'm
how
not
much you'd actually need
to drag in there, And everybody's like, well, what do you need? What do you need set up? Where do we need to put the camera? And, every presenter, we're allotted 45 minutes to an hour, and if somebody's still in the middle of answering questions, I'm not going to be like, hey, get out of here, So sometimes we can kind of get a little behind from setup stuff and everything, but I brought in the first part of the RBS and I had PVC. The table looked like my whole bench had just thrown up all over it because I started just throwing stuff on the table in case I needed it. But I went through the whole marbling spill. It was bad because while I was there, nothing actually worked the way it was supposed to work except for the base layer. But that's one of the great benefits about teaching it. Hey, this, what you're seeing in real time, is too sticky. This isn't going to work. This is what it's going to do. I ended up taking it off because they were all horrible. And we picked blue, yellow, white, and something else, and I think it was black. I think it was the other color. And I was showing them how to do what the acrylic paints did, what the mica paints with the thickener did, and what the pigments did with the thickening agent. And I had both the nice and thick stuff that I had been using, and I got some mud from Casey while I was there because I walked up to Casey. I was like, "Hey, Casey, package I ordered from you is still stuck in Louisiana."
He's come to find out like 85 other packages were stuck down
everything that went out that particular day got stuck. It was funny because it was in our mailbox when we got back, but he gave me a couple samples to play around with, so I tested it while I was there, which is always dangerous to try something brand new and be like, "Hey, we're going to talk about it." But the mud did really great. I highly recommend to get the mud instead of that powder stuff that I was using because you use a lot less of it, but if you use too much of it, it looks like the acrylic paint. It'll start stringing on you. So a little bit goes a long way with that stuff for sure. But we got through the marbling thing. They asked a lot of questions. A lot of people said it was really helpful. It was one of those where I felt like it was just a crappy version of what I could teach.
What you could do.
Probably because I couldn't get the pigments to work the way that I wanted to, and I didn't have time to like reset everything to teach it again. So, and then got all that stuff cleared out, and I think it was either me coming in behind Mike or he was coming in. No, yeah, somebody else was coming in behind me, and they kept going, "Hey, can I borrow this? Hey, can I borrow this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't, just as long as it makes it back to my table," because now I there was so much. I had 4 people trying to help me get my stuff off the table. Somebody, they were unmiking me and getting the camera set up for the next guy, and I had 3 people asking if they could borrow stuff, and I'm like, as long as it makes it back to my table, I don't care. You know, I don't care. But it was pretty good. And then there was one more seminar after mine, and then it was lunch, and lunch was barbecue that day. The slaw, whatever kind of slaw it was really good. It was like some pickled. It had bell peppers in it,
and onions,
and it
red onions.
Yeah, it was really good. It was really good slaw. Bill Falconer, I'll give him credit. Like him and Anglers Resource, they really know how to like get some food done and how to have a party. Like honestly, in a rod building event, like it's fun, you know. But after lunch, that's when I went back into my little cubby, as I kept calling it, and I sat down and marbled those 3 and had no idea what I was trying to do. I had people standing there asking me, you know, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I'm trying to make it look like granite or marble, and we're just going to see what happens." I had my giant thing of acetone with me because that's how much I expected to fail and have to pull stuff off. But I ended up keeping all 3 of them, surprisingly. So that was sketchy because we had to leave 3 brand new marbled rods turning that night early because Saturday night was the giveaway and dinner and all that stuff. So it was 5 or 6? 5:30, somewhere between that time that we had to lock up, and I had just finished the last one like 30 minutes before that. So I'm like they had been slipping out of the dryers all day because, you know, the extenders, even though if you put tape on them, because I was doing the butt and I was not allowing, I had maybe half an inch where I didn't have like epoxy on either side. There was nowhere to grab them, so it wasn't like I could tape them down to the things, but they kept sliding out, and I was going, "Ah." So I ended up taping part of the rod to the extender, and then I wrapped a hair tie around it to try to keep it from moving, and just hoped for the best. It's like, the other thing that I did on Saturday, besides the marbling, actually, because I had done 2 of those Friday, because I did the last one Saturday, I tried to put gold leaf on. And I was talking to Lori about this, and she's like, "I've got some liquid gold leaf," which there is a liquid gold leaf. There was somebody in the comments on one of my posts going, "No, that's just paint pens." And I'm like, "It's not the same. Sure, it might look the same, but it's not the same." But a liquid gold leaf, and she brought it in for me. And Brooke, you, Lori, Yolanda, and a couple other people had gathered around me because I had put the sizing on this stuff already and let it dry, and I come back. I go to put the gold leaf on it.
What happened with the gold leaf, Mary?
It didn't just stick to the sizing. It stuck to the whole thing. all of the epoxy from the day before, it just stuck to it. Brooke from Mudhole's sitting here. He's like literally here watching. He's watching what I'm doing. And when I started to brush it off and I realized, oh crap, it's not coming off. Everybody started giving me suggestions of how to like rub it off and get it off. And we went through using a popsicle stick and a metal spatula to get it off. And it wasn't coming off. Brooke was like, is that one of my rods? Yeah, it is.
Maybe.
Well, it's gold, ain't it? And I said, yeah, but it's not supposed to be that gold. I've had like 14 panic attacks, internal battles, screaming rage fits inside my head, and I'm trying to remain calm because there's people watching me.
I'm just over snickering.
Wes is just like, he's just sitting back, crosses his arms like, she's going to lose it in a minute. And then
somebody press record.
Because I couldn't get it off. It wasn't coming off. Wes was like, let me go see if somebody's got sandpaper. And thank you, Mike Garone, for bringing 1,000 grit sandpaper, because we ended up wet sanding it with all those people still watching. 99% of it came off, so that was good. And I put that particular blank to the side in timeout for making me go through that whole issue, and moved on to the other ones. And the liquid gold leaf it did really nice. And I ended up putting it on there and just letting it dry, and then they rode home with nothing over them, and it held up really nicely. So that was pretty. That was a dangerous thing to do as well, but it worked. But there were a whole lot of seminars on Saturday I don't even remember the list. I just know that all of them went really well, and everybody had a great time. They learned a lot, and they were pretty much back to back to back to back. So if you weren't watching the seminar and you weren't, there wasn't a whole lot of breaks built into that. But
there was like 10 minutes given, basically,
here or there.
Go to the bathroom,
shuffle,
do what you need to do, come back.
But it worked, because it's the Mastering Rod Building seminars is about the seminars, like you come there to learn.
It's a weekend of information.
Yeah, it's not just like, 4 or 5 on one day, 4 or 5 on the next. Like, we started at 9 o'clock and the last one ended at 5, I think.
The last one was at 4.
And then it ended at 5, right?
Yeah, started at 4, ended at 5.
And there's that hour for lunch in between. It's an hour or 2 hours? I think it was an hour.
Depended on the day.
Yeah, but and then Friday night, there's always giveaways. So Saturday night, we locked everything up, left, said a prayer for my rods on the dryer, and took off to the marina.
Grander Marine
that was up the road from us. It was like walking distance from the hotel. But thank you, Craig Hall, for getting family to keep the shop open. And then also sourcing the food that night, because we had a seafood boil with potatoes and shrimp, and there was some sausage until it ran out, corn, and that was it, right?
Potatoes.
I said potatoes, I think.
Corn, sausage, shrimp.
I think it was it. Good food.
I think that was it.
And drinks, obviously, were served, and Bill and his nephew were playing the guitar and singing, and then they did the giveaways later, and that's always like a good just kind of like chill out from the day. You get to hang out with people, get to talk to them, eat some good food, and then you get to win prizes and stuff. So that was kind of cool. I think we were there till we left at 11. 11:30, somewhere around there.
It was about 11.
And there was still a ton of people there when we were like, all right, we're going. And then Sunday when we get up, Sunday was fun too, but Sunday was the dreaded day for us because we knew we had to pack up and leave all on the same day. But I finished something on the rod Sunday. I don't remember what it was. I did something else on it, and then I had my EVA class on Sunday, which that was actually a pretty funny class. Oh.
No, I wish it was a Modelo, but Don took mine.
So Wes got a Modelo and had it in a koozie because
I had taken 2 sips, set it down on the table, and said, "Babe, I'm going to move the car so we don't have to walk all the way across the parking lot later." Okay.
I'm talking to Lori.
Because I don't want to move the car and have an open Modelo with me. Because every 5 minutes in that parking lot, here comes Orange Beach police passing through the wharf. Because people drink and drive, and there's bars there. So, move the car, come back. Where's my beer?
Completely disappeared.
Babe, where's my drink?
I'm like, I don't know. I was talking to Lori because I was talking to Lori.
Later on, come to find out, Mike Ward and Carrie had come over and was sitting with us like after everybody left, and I told them about it. I was like, I'm still pissed about my Modelo.
It disappeared.
She said, was it in a koozie? Yeah. Oh, well, Don Schaefer took it. He grabbed it while he was over here and went back and set it down, and then he had 2 beers and didn't know why.
So Don Schaefer stole his beer. You got another one, though.
One. And it wasn't cold. They had just put it in the ice. So it wasn't the same. I'm still kind of pissed about that.
A little touchy about that one.
A little bit, because I had to drink a warm Modelo.
Blech, that's gross.
And it wasn't nice.
Sunday, when we got there, we had breakfast again. It was donuts and coffee. No sausage rolls. No kaluzis. No kulachis. Whatever they're called. Pigs in a blanket.
Pigs in a blanket.
I'm going to have to, ask Google to say that, because I know that my little southern butt is saying it completely wrong. When we got to the EVA seminar, it was kind of funny, because I went in, obviously I had only one bag, so it was really easy just for me to just whoop everything on the table. And I wanted to take it as a Q&A, because you never know what these people do or don't know or care to know, so it's always want to get a filler for how these people are wanting to learn for this particular subject.
Are we talking about people that have never done any grips of any kind?
Yeah.
Just all pre-made? Or are we talking people who have made every grip they've ever done?
Or have played around in it, novice, intermediate, where you guys at, So I went in and just kind of started it off as a Q&A, but it really, really started to kind of just fold into a great little, here's some tips on this, and here's some pointers on that, because Mike Casibo from Mudhole immediately raised his hand. He was over there in the corner, and I was like, yes, Mike. He'd already asked me one time about what bandsaw blades I used, and I was like, oh, well, I always get the Timberwolf ones, 10-inch. It's for my 10-inch bandsaw. Make sure it's at least 10 TPI. And he's like, I won't forget it this time. And so we went into some of the safety precautions, wear a respirator, have air moving. Lori told me a fun fact that little feeling that you get with contact cement where it gives you the high is actually your brain cells dying. And I was like, oh, well, great. And I told the class that's probably what's wrong with me. And I got them a good giggle. And, we went into all these different discussions. My favorite thing out of that, towards the end, one guy in the back raised his hand and was like, is there actually money to be made making these grips? Is it worth your time?
That's all she does now.
And I went, well, yes. I don't do this for free. And everybody erupted in laughter. And I said, you have to know, you can't come into this going, okay, that's going to be $120, because you don't know how long it's going to take you to cut it. You don't know how long it's going to take you to slice it up, glue it back together. Obviously, we don't charge people for dry time on anything. It's just the steps to get there. You need to know about how long it takes to make that grip. And once you practice it a few times, then you can base what do you want to get paid per hour or per grip, per inch, whatever you want to break it down to. You have to figure it out for yourself. Another one over here was like, well, how long did it take you to do the Beetlejuice inlay? And I said, too long.
Longer than we could charge for?
He said, well, it looks like you got a lot of hours in it. I said, look, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I priced Beetlejuice for the Cricut to cut it, because I didn't take the time to do that extra step to go, is the Cricut going to be able to cut it? I just assumed. And that was my first wrong step. My second step was I could get the Cricut to cut it, but it was going to absolutely just destroy the image to the point it wasn't going to be worth doing it, because the Cricut probably would have taken 10 hours to make one color cut with that many details that was involved in that image. I don't have the kind of time to sit down and doctor that image to do it. I'd be able to do it faster by doing it by hand, so I chose to do it by hand. And I said, in doing so, I went from having a 3-day expectation of having all the pieces cut and being able to put it back together and start the gluing process to I'm now 7 days into this project and haven't
10 days
at 7 days cutting it, haven't started gluing it, that kind of thing.
10 days.
Shut up. I got 14 days in it, not all day long. But 3 hours here, 4 hours there, 2 hours here, there's blocks of that time period. I said I probably got about 20 hours, 15 to 20 hours in that grip. I didn't do a great job of documenting my time. And I said, and I did not charge appropriately for that grip, because I assumed I'd be able to do it here. And so they were like, well, are you going to ask for more money? And I went, why would I come back and tell them, hey, you owe me another $300 because I screwed up? Bob McCamey's over here going, slow clapping, and he catches my eye, and I'm like, what is he talking, And Then now there's 5 or 6 people going at me because they're like, "What? Your time's worth money. You need to get paid for your time." And I'm like, "Yes, I do need to get paid for my time." Fully aware of that, but I'm also, it's not the customer's fault that I misquoted my time. It's not his fault that it took me twice as long to do it or 3 times as long to do it as I originally thought it was going to.
It's her fault.
It's my fault. And they're like, "But you need to get paid for your," like, they continue to keep harping on this. I said, all right. How many of y'all done decorative wraps? About half of them raised their hand. I said, how many of y'all cut a decorative wrap off for a customer? And they're like, "Oh, do you charge them for the one you cut it off?" I said, "I'll sit down for 8 hours and cut a wrap off and then do another one for a customer. Am I charging him for the first one that I screwed up?"
I would.
No, you wouldn't. And Bob's over there like, "Yes, ma'am," like slow clapping still. Yes. And I was like, sometimes you got to eat the cost. I'm not saying it's good business practice, but there's other grips that don't take me nearly as much time, and I kind of balance it out. I said, but the deal is I screwed up with this one. My mistake. Next time I know better. Don't just go, "Oh yeah, I could do that in this amount of time. It'll be that much money." Check it out first a little bit more, especially for something that's that detailed. It's my fault. Like, it is what it is. I'm not going to come back and say, you know, it's like having a contractor come in and say, "Oh, it's going to cost like $2,000 to, I don't know, fix whatever." And then they start to get into it and they're like, "Well, we found this and this and this needs to be fixed, but it's not the original thing that you said, and now you're going to owe us another $6,000. Like, I'd be like, "No, I told you to do what you don't do. Taking it to a car dealership."
I see that. I see that from a different perspective.
Well, you're HVAC. You come across that all the time, though.
Every day.
You know? But it's a broken machine that needs to be fixed versus I made a mistake when I quoted them on how much time I was going to spend on the project. I will argue this to the point in the ground.
Even still, I will go back and, hey, so we quoted it to do this. If we only do this, it's still not going to work.
But
so you have to pay more.
I told all of them, I said, "Look, that's just me personally. That's just me personally. Like, you know, I'm choosing to eat that mistake. I'm choosing."
Well, he also wouldn't buy an $800 grip.
Nobody's going to buy an $800 grip because it took me that long to do it. And who's going to do that? Nobody. You would not put that on a rod. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the point of that? I don't think it would break down to $800, but whatever, just for fun and giggles. But that's me choosing to own my mistake. I screwed up. I'm going to eat it. You want to go back and you want to say, "Hey, it's actually going to cost this much money." I literally said, "You do you, boo." Like that's your personal decision for a rod builder. I'm not wrong for me, and you're not wrong for you. I'm not going to do that to a customer. And if that's going to make me a bad rod builder, then call me the worst. You know, like, I'm just not going to do that.
You're the worst.
Cool. I'll rock it. I'll rock it. But that is just how I feel about it. And that was one of the points that, like, we got into a big discussion about that towards the end because he's like, "Is it worth it?" And I'm like, "Yes, if you take your time," you know. Like, and then the Beetlejuice one, they were all like, I mean, I can see where you're seeing it. I can see it from his point of view. Yeah, I wouldn't be too happy about knowing it cost another $300 because you had to do it this way when you couldn't do it this way, and I probably wouldn't have purchased them. And I was like, and that's the point. You wouldn't have purchased them because they would have been too much. Mm-hmm. It's not his fault. I should have done a little bit.
But now it will get it out there, and you can charge the next person appropriately.
Well, I'll take more time to actually dive into that kind of and is the Cricut going to be able to handle this, and not just the assumption because it's 10:30 at night and I've had a couple drinks and I'm like, yeah, I could do that, you know, and I don't even.
I told you about that.
I'm not even paying attention to. Well, I'm looking at it going, that's going to be complicated.
That's awesome. Yeah, let's
do it, and go the next day after he's already given me.
Shit, I told him too low.
Money, and I'm like, oh no. But it's all right. It's just education for the next time. Check it out a little bit better in detail before you start moving forward with that. But that was probably the best conversation for a group that I've had in a while, with a lot of disagreeing in it, and we all came out going, okay, you know, like you can see it from many different points. Your reputation is worth way more than what you can make on one set of grips. I would agree with that 100% because you come back and go, hey, that just looks bad in my opinion, but everybody's going to make their own personal decision. I'm getting off of that soapbox and moving back to whatever else was there. The other funny thing that happened was Saturday. That guy comes running in. Lori was there. Do you want to tell it? Oh, come on. It'd be funny from your point of view.
Nope.
Wes is over there talking to Lori. And I had gotten up to go get something. And this guy just Zoomies just, whoosh, oh my God, it's you. And I'm like, I look at them and they look at me and I'm like, hi. Can I get a selfie with you? Oh my God. And he's doing like the lean back thing, like, so I'm behind him and I'm like, I'm your biggest fan. It scared the crap out of me. I was like, because he came in just flying in like a dog chasing a ball. Like, I was just like, and it was so quiet in there before he came in.
It was super quiet.
Because we had all been bantering, but it was one of those lull in the conversation. So we were just, I'm your biggest fan. I was like, hi, how are you? And we started having a chat with him, but it was really funny just how he came just running in. Then the Stevens, there was 2 Stevens there this weekend. One of them approached me and said, that's my girlfriend. She doesn't know it yet. And the other one was like, I've been talking to both of them online and finally, was like, oh, that's the face to the name. And I mean, it was just funny how some of these people were just approaching this. But I also got a lot of girlfriends that were there this year, or wives, and they sat in on some of the seminars, and the marbling one got a couple of them excited to work with their husbands, boyfriends, whoever, I don't know how they were together. And I was like, yes, duos, that's the best thing. Do it. Just do it.
Do it.
Marble it. Have fun with it, and they're like, I never thought to do that. That's why I'm here. Give you some ideas. I'll tell you what doesn't work. Go from there. But we ate lunch. They got us Jimmy John's, which big favorite of ours on Sunday. Love Jimmy John's. And then Wes, while I was in my seminar, had already started packing up our EVA. Had it on those little rolling carts to.
If I didn't know already that somebody was coming back to pick up EVA before they left, it would already been in the car.
Yeah.
When she was done. Otherwise, like.
Yeah, there was a couple people who were like, we're going to get it Sunday. And I was like, you better get it before Wes takes it out to the car. Cause
I will be packing up quick.
We got to go because we had to get back to get our kids so that we can bring them home from Grandpa's house and get them to school the next day. But they ended up staying the night with him because it was 1 o'clock when we got in and nobody was going to wake the kids to bring them over. And that just seemed unfair. But it was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun. It's so great to see the people down there that we don't get to see at other expos because this is the closest event for them. You got all the presenters for the seminars, the vendors, so you get to have all those fun conversations and then like the conversations you have while everybody's doing the drinks and food, and I enjoyed that one. I enjoyed it a lot. And the Springdale Suites, it was kind of nice. I mean, we had bathrooms that were right there.
It'd been even nicer if we could have stayed in the hotel.
Yeah, but I didn't even check.
It didn't bother us driving, 6 minutes down the road.
Yeah, that wasn't no big deal either. I don't know if I wanted to stay in the hotel because there was that cheerleading crew that was there. That was all them little youngins running around that were in the uniforms.
It's no different than the expo.
Yeah, but dancers are different than cheerleaders. Cheerleaders are typically quieter or louder than the dancers usually are. Dancers are louder in public, not in their rooms usually. Quit shaking your head. No, I have been around both.
They're equally as bad.
They're not.
Rah.
Anyways, but I didn't even check the hotel room because when we first started talking about it, he said they were all sold out anyway, so I didn't even think to check. But it probably would have been a lot more expensive than where we were staying, so.
No telling. It would just been an easier walk.
Yeah.
Slept in a little longer.
I felt bad because we had to load in and load out in the handicap spots, and I felt awkward about that because we were in a walking distance to there, and they were like, no, you can just park there for your time, and I was always like, oh no. I didn't like that, but hopefully it'll be back at the party barn next year.
We'll see
how it goes. We did see Donnie looked good, so keep blessing him, making sure he gets full recovery. But yeah, that's Mastering Rod Building seminars. You should definitely go. It is definitely worth the trip.
Do it.
You'll have a lot of fun.
Do it.
Especially if Bill and his nephew are singing and playing the guitar. Because it's like being in a concert like the whole time. I got absolutely no photos, no videos, nothing. The only time I ever got any recording done was when we got to the place we were staying. And I was like, I'm going to go make a video real quick because I needed to put something out. But the rest of the time, too busy having conversations and trying to help people out and One of them was funny. One of the Stevens it was Saturday night. He was like, what am I missing with decorative wraps? And I'm like, I don't know. That's a very vague question. You're going to have to narrow it down some. We'd all been drinking at this point, and so my sarcasm's already out. And we already have a working banter back and forth, so I can respond to him a certain way that I wouldn't anybody else. But I was like, I don't know. What are you missing? And he's like, I can't understand Billy's book. I told him, I said, come see me tomorrow. I'll give you 5 minutes. I'll be able to tell you exactly what you're missing. You'll be able to go home and use the book. So he comes in with the book the next day. I totally forgot. I told him to say this. I saw him come running in with his book and a note with paper and his pens and stuff. And I was like, I did say that. And I walked over there, and he's, 20 seconds in, he went, are you serious? I'm like, yeah. And Wes was like, $100 an hour. That's what we charge, $100 an hour.
Because it only takes 5 minutes.
20 seconds. I had explained to him how to read the book, and he was like, what the heck? I said, it's not that hard if you know the cheat code. But that's the kind of stuff that people, when they come to me, they're asking those kind of questions. I'm trying to help them with that little bit of knowledge. And then there's a lot of people that were like, why didn't you teach anything about decorative wraps? I was like, I don't know. I came and did what he asked me to do.
Do what we're told.
Although I was very surprised that I was doing advanced marbling, so that kind of stressed me out. That I had to teach myself a new skill in 4 or 5 weeks to go teach it, and then still sucked at it in person. But the ones I did on those turned out, I actually kind of like those. But yeah, you definitely should go and check it out. It's going to probably be at around April-ish again next year. That's about the time that he usually carves it out to not compete with the expo and the other stuff, PCS and everybody else.
October be a good time too.
That's usually when Mudhole's got their advanced classes going on, though.
September.
Everybody's in school.
I don't care.
You know what I mean?
They were in school this time.
I know. If they had waited till this weekend,
this coming weekend,
our kids would have been with us because they're on spring break.
Mm-hmm. And we could have just kept them out the Monday after.
Which, when we got our kids, they were. He dropped them off at 6 o'clock in the morning on Monday. So Wes and I only got a couple hours of sleep that night.
3-4 hours that night.
We get up, and he had called us, and he's like, I'm outside. Okay, and so we get downstairs, and we get him in, and oldest is good to go. He's ready to go. He's fine. He goes upstairs.
Groggy,
but fine. And he goes and gets dressed and try to figure out what they're going to eat. And the youngest, woo,
not okay.
We took a mental health day for him.
He was not okay.
He was crying. He was so upset. And I was like, what is wrong with you? He's like, I'm so tired. And I found out from the oldest that he'd been going to bed at 9, 10 o'clock at night.
And getting up before 6 o'clock.
And he's only 6. And he's used to going to sleep at 7:30, 8 o'clock. And then he's fine if he wakes up at 6 or 7. But, to go to bed that late and get up early, he was struggling. He was crying. I was like...
He was emotional and in tears over...
going to school.
No, it was chocolate milk.
Oh, yeah, chocolate milk. It was just
because we were out of chocolate syrup, and we couldn't make chocolate milk, and he just meltdown. Uncontrollable, inconsolable meltdown.
I said, what is wrong? And he said, I'm tired. And I was like, okay, you're still in your PJs. Go back to bed. And he was like, huh? And I said, go to bed. You're tired. It's fine. Go to bed. He slept for almost 3 more hours. Mm-hmm. That kid was tired. But we just kept him home, and he saw his teacher in the pickup line. She's like, are you sick? And I was like, you would not have wanted him this morning. She's like, what happened? And I explained it, and she's like, oh, yeah, no, big feelings. It's fine. And I'm like, I know, he's in kindergarten. He's really not missing that much. It's fine. He had big old giant feelings.
He woke up and, I can go play? No, you can come work.
Yeah, you're going to help us, buddy. You are home. Mom's trying to unload.
We got stuff to unpack.
You gonna help
Shop
us?
To clean.
And
Get out here.
He did help us unload, and then I let him play on his Switch and watch TV the rest of the time because he was a good helper after he had a nap. Lord Almighty.
Hold on.
What, the fly?
He just landed on your drink.
No, he's not. Make sure he didn't go down my straw like that one time. I left the drink in here for 20 minutes. I came back and went to take a drink out of it and chewed on fly, and I was like. Gross. Anyways, on that note, I'm going to take a minute and we're going to start with thanking our sponsors first and foremost. Where is the Van White? Come on, you're failing your job now. Thank you. But big thank you to Mudhole and Foundation Outdoor Group for all of the amazing giveaways that we can do, and also helping promote some of our business stuff that we've got going on. And obviously we promote them as well because it's a great company to work for. And you can save 10% by using our discount code, Decorate10. Get 10% off of Gaho, MHX, CRB, Pro Products, and also
American Tackle.
American Tackle. Yes.
It also works on wrappers and stands and dryers.
Yep, 10% off. You just can't stack it on top of other discount deals, but you can save 10%. But big thanks, Mudhole. We appreciate you. We love you. Mwah.
Lori, that's what she said.
It's just extra protein. Oh man, that crunch in my mouth was just like.
My drink's not supposed to
It's
crunch.
not supposed to be crunchy. That's like when your kids take a drink out of your drink and you don't tell you.
Ugh.
And then you're like, what is that?
Why did I just have a wad of something come through my straw?
Like, so gross. All right, our product of the night is, we're going to talk about the Charity Golf Classic because it is this coming Saturday. And this is a benefit to raise money for the Seminole Junior Anglers, Healing Waters, and also the CCA of Florida. So this is all of the money that's generated from this event is going straight to the charities. You've got until, I believe it's the 21st to register. It's going to be at Twin Rivers Golf Club. You can come solo or you can be in a team. You can find their information online, but there's a bunch of prizes coming out, and they've also got free Mission Barbecue Catering going to be taking care of the food, and you can win trips to go fishing with different people, gift cards, sunglasses, my rods if you're interested in my bass rods, and a whole slew of other things are available as well.
And last I checked, there was only a few spots left.
Yep, there's only a few spots left, and so they're trying to sell out so that they can get as much money as possible back to the charities, because that's the entire goal, is to be able to raise a bunch of money for those charities. So, and it's really cool that they're doing it for Florida CCA along with the Junior Seminoles and Project Healing Waters, because that just gives right back to the vets. So definitely check it out. Now, what everybody's been waiting for is giveaway. What are we giving away tonight? Why do you always act surprised like you don't know?
No, I totally forgot what we were giving away. Like, just complete brain dead blank.
We're giving away the extenders because the extenders saved my butt so much with these builds this past week. 2 weeks that I've been working on them. 3 weeks, I don't know when I started, but highly recommend them. And we're going to be giving away the kit. So these are the nice ones that come in the box with the little cards, and you look like you're, you can keep them stored and keep dust and everything off of them. And I used both of those for all 6 of these rods. Like I said, would have liked to have more, so I could have just churned through them. But I just got to call Mo and get some more.
Yep.
Like, hey, I need like a couple more of those, just in case I have to do this again. What's the question?
I've been blanking this whole time.
Are you serious? You didn't get a question prepared?
I couldn't think of one.
My goodness, we have a first time in our podcast history. We got through 44 episodes without you not knowing a question to ask.
Couldn't think of one. So,
we're off the seat of our pants right now. You had one job, sir.
I know. And
one job.
what was the first year that the Rod Crafters Journal came out?
I don't even know
Because
that.
I know that off the top of my head.
I don't even know the answer to that. Write that down so I can see it. Okay, legible, please. That looks like a whole bunch of
verify this,
bubbles and circles. And do you even know where they are?
Yeah, right here.
They're still in that big box, no? Or did we take them out?
Yeah, I was right.
And he said 2001.
Nope.
I can't even read that.
You can't read that?
No. You can't even read it either.
Yeah, I can.
There you
I'm
go.
just trying to keep it out of the shot.
It's not. How are they going to see it upside down and way that far away?
Some people can do that.
Greg
No,
says
Greg.
1978. Duncan says 2002. Nope. The first publication of Rod Crafters.
The first Rod Crafters Journal publication. What year? I just happen to remember that off the top of my head. So that's why you get that question. Duncan, that is true, but I need the year.
Duncan said 1970 something. Cody said 1998. 1998. Nope. It's 1970 something. Duncan is giving you a big hint.
He's right, but he ain't exactly right.
We need that last digit. It's not a 0. Let's see how fast they start just typing them in order until they get.
Somebody gets it.
Oh, they're all coming in at once. 1976.
Mm-mm.
Nope. 70s, yes. 1975. Duncan gets it again. Good job, Duncan. You are the winner. Congratulations. Woo! For the blank extender kit.
We only know that because we have them right there.
I have almost all of them.
We have all of them when they were in the small format.
Doc Ski actually gave those to
Every
us.
single one of them.
And it is now time for us to pass it on to Wade.
Well, we're gonna send them all to Wade Daly so that he can digitize them again, and then have him send them back just whenever he's done. But that way, all of the old journals can be digitally formatted to be uploaded, so everybody can start seeing them again.
We need to hand those out like we told Doc we were going to, too, once all that gets done.
Well, no, we were supposed to pass everything to.
Oh, yeah, the entirety of that. Yeah, it's a collection. You're welcome. But, yeah, we got to get moving on that so that Wade can get it, because I'm sure that's going to take a long time.
Yes, it will.
For him to do that.
Which, speaking of Jared, if you talk to Wade soon, have him reach out.
Yeah, just to remind us. Because we're a bit busy, and sometimes we forget things, but we remember them later and go, oh, crap. This is one of those where it's like, oh crap, we were supposed to do that.
Years ago.
We talked to him about it actually 2 years ago. Yeah. And we forgot to talk about it this year. So
no, we talked about it again this year.
Did we?
We just forgot between the times to
I need to
actually send it.
If I don't write it down, it won't get done. Contact Wade Rod Crafters. We need to get that out to the community. It's written down. Now everybody can hold me accountable. It's in the notes. Don't expect it in 2 weeks. It's not going to happen that soon.
No.
But it'll get done pretty quick. So, well, congratulations, Duncan. That's a really great set. I have worked with them, obviously, a lot with these 6 rods and other ones, too. Just this one is definitely, I've been using them all the time for these 2. You may have to put some tape on the extenders to kind of get them to snug up a little bit because it's aluminum, right?
Yeah. It's a brushed aluminum.
And so they might slide around a little bit. You definitely don't want to like force it on there because we don't want to accidentally crack any of the ferrules or the butts or anything. So if it's moving around and it's not on there, just put some tape on there and it should stick and it should be good. So great things to have, especially when you're wrapping ferrules and butts, in my opinion. With that, let's open it up to Q&A. However, before we get started with Q&A, Duncan actually contacted me a couple days ago. And he has a question that I feel you could probably answer a little bit better, and the community might be able to answer a little bit better than myself because I don't work with decals. So, in the application of applying the decals, when he goes to put epoxy on, the decals are lifting. It doesn't matter if he's putting it to the thread, to the blank, putting CP on it, or doing any of these other steps. It is lifting. What can he do to prevent that from happening?
Wrap that shit with size D as tight as you can.
When? At what point?
Like, as soon as you put it on, wrap over it and let it sit. If that don't work, start making your own with a little bit higher quality contact glue. Anytime I've had issues with rod company stickers or decals, or whether it be from Mudhole or Batson or Get Bit or
Decal Connection
or the local guy that we had make decals, anytime I had a problem with it lifting, it was always because it wasn't tacking to whatever I was doing it to, and I would wrap it and let it sit, and I'm talking like pack it tight, wrap it tight. That sounds like a rap song. And then let it sit overnight, and then come back, take that off, see if it has adhered.
Now, if he does that step and the epoxy is still causing it to lift, what is he doing wrong in that situation?
Well, are you heating the epoxy? Or you do what Sean said and let the epoxy pot life extend so that it's thicker, and just go ahead and put it on then.
Cody hits it. He goes after he wraps it. He heats it with the glue heats it so that the glue will stick better.
That'll do it.
So basically, it's a glue adhesion drama.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming you are wiping the area down prior, like with isopropyl.
And letting it dry.
Letting it dry, not just, oh, it disappeared. Letting it dry before you stick it on there. Because sometimes fingerprint oil or even just coming straight, sometimes there's like residue that will cause it to kind of go all over the place. But
I would try heat after wrapping it and then try that first.
Jared says sometimes you can rub it too hard and squeeze the adhesive out. Good to know. I don't put decals on mine. So the only ones I've worked with are the Cricut ones, and that's a vinyl, and it's different. You know, heat will make the decal adhesive to lift.
Not if it can't.
If it's y'all gonna put shrink tube over that stuff.
I've seen some people do that too. Wrap it in tape, like reverse the tape and wrap it.
I feel like thread's a tighter bond than the tape is. I tried tape on some various stuff like the snake skins, and the thread did way better than the tape did.
I would always wrap it and then burnish the thread so that it all lays flat, and then let it sit overnight and come back, take it off, and it never pulled up after that. It stayed long enough that the epoxy was able to cure and keep it down.
Okay, so wrap and heat, leave for 24 hours, and epoxy with thicker epoxy.
Yes.
I think
just try high build over top of it instead.
I think that would be your
best
bet.
And let it sit to where, like, the chemical reaction has kind of slowed down and it's starting to set up, but not so much that it's
goopy.
You
don't want paste. I don't know. I'd let that cup sit, like mix it up and let it sit for like 20, 30 minutes, depending on your humidity and temperature. Because if it's hot, you're in Australia. So, like, if it's hot, your pot life might be a lot different than it is over here. So just take that into account and put a layer of CP on it and wrap with size 8. I mean, that'll work too, because CP's gonna glue it. You just might have a little bit of a tinge. You might not. You might. It just kind of depends.
I don't agree with CP on decals, just because some of the decals could react to it.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. They might get a little color discoloration. The clear might turn kind of cloudy.
Milky.
Look, cloudy with a side of meatballs.
I might watch that.
That was a funny movie. It was weird. It was
cloudy
funny.
with a chance of meatballs.
I think we've covered the decal options as best as we can. That's one of the reasons why I don't use them. I don't want to deal with all that. I'll pester myself to death on some stupid stuff, but I'm not going to put a decal on unless I have to. How does marbling mud compare to Flex Coat CP for thickening epoxy? I don't know.
We don't use CP for that.
I don't have Flex Coat CP to compare, so I can't answer that question. And I haven't tried any of the CP I have here doing it that way, because the CP I have left is just the bare minimum of my favorite until that trial one that I'm testing out, which so far is doing very nicely. Maybe potentially comes the new favorite, but I can't answer that, Cody. I'm sorry. So if you can ever get to the Mastering Rod Building Seminars, it's a great place to learn from, hang out, meet a lot of cool rod builders, and enjoy some awesome food. And big thank you to Bill Falconer and Angler's Resource for putting on such an amazing event. And also to Craig Hall, who was doing all the food and managed to get all this stuff pulled together last minute for us for Saturday night's little get together, and then his family that kept the tackle shop open for that party on Friday night or Saturday night. So it was really cool. But you can learn a lot at the Mastering Rod Building Seminars, and because we've got the expo, right? But the expo is just there for you mainly to be there for the vendors with education on the side, right? But the Mastering Rod Building Seminars is focused basically on the education, and the vendors are on the side. You can come shop from us, and we love the support and all that stuff, but we aren't the focus. It's the seminars, and they're packed full of Mike was teaching thread shading and feather inlays. Keller was talking about how to do the spiral wrap with the mesh tape. Bill Falconer went over the
carbon fiber grips.
Thank you. Bill Batson had a complete seminar. It was just, there's so much information. I talked about EVA marbling. There's applying epoxy on high speed. There's a whole bunch of different presentations. And you got 2 days worth of knowledge. And then they feed you really good food on top of it. And it's just a fun event. Like, it's one of my favorite ones. And it's kind of cool to travel all the way down to like Orange Beach or Foley, depending on where it's at. But it's always a nice area. great time, great fun. So eventually you should definitely put it on your to-do list. You know, if it's not next year, at least the year after that. It is a great event. And, you know, for us personally, as every time we take that trip, first time I took that trip, it only took me 9.5 hours. But ever since then, it's been 9.5, 10, 12. Like, it just keeps going. But it's mainly because of traffic, because people don't know how to drive, and construction on the highways, and always Atlantic traffic. That's the worst part of the journey, is Atlanta. Going through Atlanta, Georgia. Just, whew, every time it comes up on it. I'm usually the one driving, and I'm like, how did this work out to where I have to deal with this twice? You bugger. But yeah, you should definitely come, because it's really cool. And you know, you get to watch Bill and his nephew play and sing, and that's really the cool part about it, because it's like we hang out as one big family and have fun and learn and build and chill. So y'all have a great night. We appreciate you hanging out with us, and we will chat later. Bye.